Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beverly Hills Magazine. I'm Jacqueline Maddison, founder and editor-in-chief, and we have a very special guest with us today, a Dr. Carl Truesdale, who is known as the Beverly Hills face expert. That's right. Today we're going to be interviewing a top Beverly Hills plastic surgeon. Let's welcome him. Hi, good
Hello,
afternoon. How are you, Mr. Truesdale?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Wonderful. It's a
Perfect.
beautiful day, and I'm so honored to have you here with me this afternoon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, congratulations on all your success.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so let's get started. Why don't you tell me just a little bit of background about yourself? Where are you originally from? Where did you grow up? And how did you end up in LA?
Absolutely. So I am originally from upstate New York, a small town by the name of Corning, New York. Grew up with a scientist as my father. My mom was an artist, and that kind of helped shape me to become who I am today.
Mhm.
So when I was young, around the age of 10, I had a baby brother who actually passed away from trisomy 13. And it caused me to reflect and want to help other people through science. So I decided at that point to become a doctor. I then eventually matriculated to Morehouse College in Atlanta, and then University of Pennsylvania for medical school,
Mhm.
University of Michigan for head and neck surgery residency, came to Beverly Hills in 2020 to do my fellowship, and then built my practice. And now I'm here on Rodeo Drive practicing facial plastic surgery.
That's amazing. What inspired you to become a plastic surgeon, of all things? I mean, I know you mentioned your younger brother, but plastic surgery in general.
Right. So originally, the idea was I want to cure cancer. I want to be a doctor. I want to help people. You
Right, I want
know,
to change the world.
exactly. And so when I was reading about my brother's condition all those years ago, I realized this medical encyclopedia is full up of 1,000 other diagnoses. So
Right.
I decided that medicine. When I got to medical school, it was a lot of reflection of one, I love to use my hands. I love the immediacy of surgery. I
Mhm.
want to still help people becoming a doctor, but I want to be a surgeon. I love working with my hands. I have all these hobbies I do with my hands. So I
Yeah.
started going to certain career panel discussions, and there was one with everything from cardiothoracic surgery, plastic surgery, orthopedic surgery, otolaryngology, head and neck surgery. The person who was speaking, who ended up being one of my mentors, was an otolaryngologist or a head and neck surgeon, ENT, and described his specialty as one where you get to take care of old people, young people, life threatening conditions, people who can't breathe, can't speak, can't hear, taking out head and neck cancer, and then come
Right.
to find out facial plastic and reconstructive surgery. So throughout my entire life, I've done artwork and I'm a portrait artist. And so
Oh,
once I
wow.
realized that facial plastic surgery was a part of that, that's how I kind of honed in on ENT, head and neck surgery. When I got to my residency program, I was really between doing head and neck oncology, cancer surgery, or facial plastics. And it
Mhm.
just kept coming back to, the fact that I'm a creative. I love, the one-on-one, and I just love plastic surgery, the ability to kind of shape someone and help them work through, how they look so that you can match that with how they feel on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the human body or the human face is, I suppose, the ultimate canvas, right?
100%.
Well, and I'm a firm believer, though, we have natural God-given gifts and talents that, some of us are simply just born to do certain things. And maybe that's why you navigated naturally to where you find yourself today.
I think so. I 100% agree.
So they call you the Beverly Hills face expert. Now, how did you become the expert at facial plastic surgery other than traditional schooling? I mean, that's quite a title to be known by and an honor.
Well,
Is
thank
it
you.
like just the amount of surgeries, or I've obviously seen your results and your work is really incredible. So, um, I can concur. You're the Beverly Hills face expert. But how did you come to be known as that?
Yeah, so I think some of it is the innate who you are, who you grew up, your nurture and nature.
Yeah,
So it all the way goes back to when I was a child, honestly.
sure.
My mom's an artist, my dad's a scientist. So I've always had both the analytical and creative way of thinking. I've
Uh-huh.
been doing portrait work my entire life, so I can show you, pictures and drawings that I was doing when I was 6 years old.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and it's all I've always been gravitating to the face, the head and neck portrait work. And so I've always loved the human form, the face, the shapes, how everything fits together. And then it was just a matter of training at the highest levels you possibly can.
Right, right.
From, top, three med school, top ENT program, top fellowship. So really great mentors along the way with an
Hmm.
innate, kind of a penchant towards plastic surgery and being just really good with my hands ends up, that I get to work in this amazing field and specialty.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is the most popular procedure, if there is like one?
It somewhat depends on age group.
Hmm.
Um, in general, the most popular procedure that happens in my office is probably Botox in terms of
Oh,
sheer number of treatments
right.
between myself and my nurse injector. But in terms
Mhm.
of what I do and what I'm becoming very well known for, it's really the deep plane face and neck lift.
Right.
So we all have seen facelifts. The thing that kind of separates mine is that people look very, very young after the procedure, and if you saw them, you shouldn't know that they had a facelift. They should look natural. And
Yes.
so,
That's what
yeah,
I like about your work is that it's subtle, but it's dramatic for the patient, so that it's a dramatic transformation before and after, but very subtle in terms of being able to detect that any surgery took place.
correct.
So, what is the most challenging thing about being a doctor, especially a plastic surgeon? I mean, altering people's appearances. I mean, that's a very heavy responsibility.
Absolutely.
What's most challenging?
The plastic surgery in a lot of ways is not the hard part, even though you're right, it's zero margin of error, it's high level. People trust me with their faces, and I take that very, very seriously.
Right.
It's not like someone who's coming in and you're removing cancer. So really, they come in perfectly healthy. They have to leave perfectly healthy and better. And so that's definitely challenging and something you have to manage. But believe it or not, it's really, I think most jobs dealing with people can be tricky. People bring their ideas, their traumas that they're dealing with,
It's true.
and I'm their guide basically from the journey. So,
Hmm.
you have to navigate and meet people, where they are. And so that's probably the most tricky thing sometimes is just the interpersonal things.
Right. Oh, I see. Absolutely. So, what is the most rewarding part of your career as a doctor then?
Oh, there's so many. The most rewarding when you are able to have a patient come in and they're hurting, whether they lost their husband, they don't feel confident anymore, they were in an injury and they don't like the way they look in the mirror. And then
Mm.
you talk them through, the way it's going to go, and then you execute perfectly. At the end of the day, they're so happy, their life has changed,
Yes.
they feel more confident, they find a new significant other, or they come to terms with some of the things that had bothering them for
Yeah.
years.
Right.
That's just so amazing. I'm so blessed to be able to do that.
Amen. That is absolutely powerful to be able to have such an impact on somebody's life and change it in such a way, in such a positive way. So, what is your business mission for you, maybe personally? Your business mission? Is it, something as cliche, I want to change the world, right? But for you,
There's a lot. There are a lot of different missions overall in terms of Truesdale plastic surgery.
Hmm.
Number one, it's a safe practice. Two, beautiful results, natural results, and that the patient is ecstatic and loves them.
Yeah.
You know, I made a choice to work in medicine to help individual people, but those people that I affect go out and feel good, do good, they look good, and that kind of spreads. And so, it does change the world. It is one person at a time. Obviously, I want to run a successful plastic surgery practice and be known as one of the greatest who's ever done plastic surgery of all time. And, furthermore, I am an African American facial plastic surgeon. There are not many. And I'm in a very competitive specialty. In the Black community, there's a lot of stigma against plastic surgery. So I'd like to, be a part of the story that changes how people view plastic surgery, not just Black people, all people, where it can be done and it can look beautiful and it can be a positive thing. It doesn't have to just be the horror stories, the cat ladies. It can be positive.
Right. Yeah. I say I don't see Black people or white people. I just see beautiful people.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But I love that. Now, who or would have been your inspirations for you personally as a man, as a business owner, and as a doctor in your life?
So So as a man, I look to my dad, honestly,
Yeah.
great role model. I wouldn't be who I am without, who he was for me. As a man, you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your family. And as a good husband, hopefully I'm able to live up to half the man he was.
Mm.
Professionally, I have, several mentors. Dr. Shan Baker, who's one of the forefathers of plastic surgery, one of my attendings at the University of Michigan, an expert plastic surgeon, an expert surgeon, and really such a good and kind person. So that's why I would look to, from a professional standpoint, those would be my role models for sure.
Fantastic. Now, what makes your work different from others? Do you have like a signature to your style, your procedure, your way of cutting, whatever it may be, something that you know is true to you and what makes your work unique?
Absolutely. There are a lot of things that can differentiate a surgeon. Ultimately, it comes down to that person's perspective, their aesthetic, and I think I view things differently. Now, me and another plastic surgeon might see a patient and agree on the procedures that they might need to have done. Maybe we don't. I would say my result is catered toward a person who wants to look natural and wants
Mm,
to look like themselves. And
mhm.
so that automatically differentiates some of my work from others.
Right.
I would say that I do have a large patient population who is skin of color, whether those are Latino patients, I speak Spanish, or African American or Asian patients. That's definitely a different flavor. I have a specialty in minimizing scarring, whether that be patients with history of keloids. My results in terms of being able to transform someone, a lot of plastic surgeons have those abilities, but I would say mine is, at the highest level where I really can consistently produce results of people looking 20, 30 years younger. I do it
Yeah. Yeah.
every day.
Hmm.
And I would say
In a
that is
natural way.
definitely,
In a natural
yeah,
way. Because, like,
exactly.
I mean, some doctors really do have results that are um, too dramatic, where it's obvious someone has had a
Right,
plastic surgery and they almost are unrecognizable. And I
right.
think that's the difference in your work is and what makes your work amazing, you know.
Oh, thank
Yeah, it's the natural results. Now, how do you prepare for surgery? Mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Like, what do you do? And maybe it's second nature at this point for you, but how do you prepare for your surgery day?
So the first thing is making sure that me and the patient are communicating and we're on the same page of what the result is that we're going after. Very, very important, especially with certain things like rhinoplasty, where it really isn't about what I think is best. It's really what we both agree is the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, really studying that, coming up with a game plan before you even go into the operating room, that's really key. After that, it's really just drawing and painting in between the lines, because you
Right.
have your game plan and you are there to execute it. Now, you have to be able to improvise. It's a little bit of jazz sometimes when you're in the
Mm-hmm.
operating
I
room,
like
because
that.
it just unfolds sometimes in front of you, and
Right.
it's the highest kind of form of creation.
Mm.
But leading into surgery, I try to clear my mind, meditate, visualize what's going to happen, and then
Mm-hmm.
try to execute that plan. So it is very much a meditative process.
Yeah.
I do it a lot when I'm scrubbing in before surgery, just getting my
Mm-hmm.
mind completely clear and focused.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a lot of fun.
I would always be like, "Oh Lord, please work through me. You let your work be done and not mine." Um, so what has been the greatest lesson you've learned on your journey of success? And I'm sure there's more than one, but if one that comes to mind.
And if I could give um, one piece of advice to my younger self or someone else who is thinking about entrepreneurship or starting a business or whatever it might be in life, it's the best bet you can make is one on yourself. So when I decided to open my private practice and one of the most competitive specialties and places in the world, I really had to do a lot of soul searching and feel confident in who I was and what I could bring to the table.
Right.
I've been studying, practicing, since I was 10 years old to get to this point, if you really think about that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and so planting those seeds, it's delayed gratification, but now it's blossoming. So invest in yourself and definitely put in the hard work, and you will receive a benefit.
Yeah, your dreams have come true, as they would say.
Yes, they have for sure.
So how do you balance your professional and your personal life? For
So
your
yeah, it's a constant exercise. So if we were talking 30 minutes ago, actually, my 3-month-old baby, my first baby,
Oh,
and my
congratulations.
you and my wife were in the office, and that's something we're doing. So I run a busy practice, and I like to exercise at the end of the day or whatever
Yep.
it might be. If
Hmm.
they come in, I get to spend some time with them. The staff in my office gets to see and play with them. But then I can also, feel a little bit better about maybe staying a little bit later or going to the gym.
Right.
So there are little things that I'm figuring out. We
Yeah,
figure it out along the way to
that's
try to
true.
create a little bit more balance.
Right.
So that's just one little example.
But I like that, you're not like, oh, I'm at the office and I'm so focused, and so you integrate a little bit of your home life at the office, and that's nice. It keeps it also relaxed, so
Right.
because I imagine you have a lot of pressure, but it keeps it a little more relaxed when you're
Hmm.
family.
Yeah.
Now, how do you take care of your spiritual self? I mean, is it prayer, meditation? What's that for you?
I would say it's all the above. I find actually there's this concept of the flow state, and where your subconscious and your conscious mind are kind of working together.
Uh-huh.
And people have thought about this as like high level people who are meditating and they're outside in the cold and they're doing just fine, or it could be like the
Right.
athlete making every single shot, and it's almost like this meditative transcendental state. I try
Hmm.
to practice that, believe it or not, through surgery. I get lost in it.
Right.
Um, so I try to find those things throughout my life, throughout my day, that really connect me to a source, whether that's a religion, a spirit, spirituality, whatever it might be. But I find those things very strongly through what I do, whether I'm playing the piano and I sit down at the piano and I come to find out I've been here for 4 hours,
Mm.
or I'm
Right.
sitting down at a surgery and 10 hours goes by like that because I'm so
Wow.
engrossed.
Hmm.
So I try to find it that way. I grew up. My mom is actually a pastor, very religious background. And so I feel like some of those great stories that I learned and I was, kind of wrapped around me growing up. I went to Christian private schools my entire life until
Nice.
high school. I think that those things kind of resonate, and the tenets throughout different types of religion, there are commonalities, and I try to find that balance with my spiritual life.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I believe we are spirit, first and foremost, and the physical experience is temporary, but I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, obviously. And yeah, I can't do anything without praying. You know, even my business, like I say I'm living on a prayer because everything that has manifested in my life has come from the hand of God. So but I'm like you say religion, I'm not religious. I say religion is of man, but faith is of God. And I'm faithful, and it's a very big difference. But yeah, for me, it's my relationship with the Lord, and He helps me in everything I do, and I couldn't do anything without Him. So my next question was going to be for you: how has God played a hand in your life, or always let Him know that He's been with you? Like little God winks, things that only God could do.
I mean, honestly, it's from the inspiration of even my brother passing,
Yeah.
Um, if you ask my mom, she would expound, she would give you a whole sermon on it. But it's the seeing the positive that, otherwise might be a challenge. So my
Right.
baby brother, whose name was Emmanuel, God is with us.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's beautiful.
He died at 3 days old, and so there's a lot of symbolism there. And even though it was a challenge and something I kind of struggled with, kind of thinking about, why did this happen?
Right.
Ultimately, it was the thing that led me to become a doctor. Fast forward years, I'm a doctor. I'm practicing otolaryngology. I'm in the hospital. I'm doing life-saving airway surgeries on children who can't breathe.
Right.
And, eventually I become a plastic surgeon. I'm helping all these people, changing their lives. My 3-month-old's name is Emmanuel, so I named him after my brother.
Wow.
Just as a reminder of that situation.
Well, and that means God is with us. So,
Yes.
and a lot of times when our loved ones pass early and we don't understand because we can't understand certain things, what we can trust is that God is good, right? So everything that He allows to happen is for the greater good of everyone involved because He sees what we can't see. So just
Correct.
like you said, that your brother passing to you is unthinkable. Like how, why? But now in hindsight, you understand that it was actually the catalyst to inspire you into your destiny that God had for you. So your lives and spiritual destinies were intertwined, even though he was only alive for 3 days. And all babies go to heaven, by the way. So you'll see him again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Next, so do you have a personal motto, quote, or Bible scripture you like to live by?
I mean, there's so many.
Right? There are.
I
I
mean,
mean,
there's so many. So, I mean, I really do try to live, and it sounds very cliche. It always sounds kind of funny when people ask me this, but excellence is a habit. What we do on a day-to-day basis, from the small things, define who we are. Another phrase that I really like to, I don't know if I created it, but we're living in our momentum. So
I
if
like that.
you have the idea, I don't know if you've ever been in one of those circular pools. I had one growing up. And if all the people in the pool
Yeah.
start swimming in one direction, there's a
Uh-huh.
current that starts to develop. And in the
Right.
beginning, it's kind of hard to kind of get the water moving. But when you do, you can actually just lift your feet up and you just keep kind of spinning. It's the same kind of concept in physics with just momentum, like a big train. It's hard to get it started, but once you get it started, it moves. So I try to be intentional about the direction that I'm moving and very focused. And then we're living in those positive actions that we did years ago. And that
Right.
is kind of moving us forward. So it's our job to kind of keep the energy focused in the positive direction. So we're living in our momentum.
I love that quote. I'll quote you. That's yours. You invented that. But it's so true. Energy goes where energy flows, and the momentum is key because that's what builds the growth of energy, of success, of everything. So it makes perfect sense. I love it. Now, have you discovered a personal purpose in what you do? I know we're impacting people's lives. They're in specifically plastic surgery, their self-esteem. I mean, that's incredible. But for you personally, like, when you're quiet time, when you're by yourself and reflecting on your life and everything, have you discovered your personal purpose? I think we all sort of have that maybe mission in some way that we must
Well,
do. We must
yeah,
fulfill our purpose.
100%. I think we all have one. And I think it has multiple facets.
Yeah.
So, for me, recently having my firstborn son,
Amazing.
that changed everything, my whole perspective, my whole why am I here, the
Yeah.
idea of mortality and
Yeah.
legacy, what am I leaving? And so I want to leave the world dramatically better than if I had not been in it.
Mm.
Um, and ultimately, there's a phrase in my college, don't make God mad that He made you, that He created you.
That's
And
good.
so I
Uh-huh.
want to be able to affect people's lives because ultimately that's the true measuring stick of what we have done. And so
Right.
for me, that's be a positive influence on my son, raise him to be a great person, be a great husband to my wife, be a
Uh-huh.
great doctor to my patients, a great son
That's
to my
good.
parents, and
Amen.
really make their lives better. And so I think that that's the highest purpose we have.
Yeah, I mean, it's the butterfly effect, we are either impacting the world in a positive way or a negative way. And, I believe we will be accountable for all our thoughts, words, and deeds, so um, to be conscious of being a positive influence in every aspect of our contribution and existence, really. Um, Yeah, that's wonderful. So now, how do you define what? Okay, no, actually, I'm going to go with this one. If you had one wish, and it would be granted, what would you wish for?
That's a great question.
Right? I
I'm
know.
I mean, I think it would really relate to what would make the biggest impact in my mind on the world. And I think a lot of times the thing that separates good and bad are the decisions that people make and the the discrepancy between what their position is or what they feel their position is, whether that's a selfishness, an ego, super ego,
Right.
and another person's, position. So I think if the whole world could have, in a snap of, in a blink of an eye, a better sense of what we could give for someone else, I think overall, so many problems that we're dealing with would go away, and we would be able to work more cohesively together as a race of humans on
Yeah.
planet Earth, and not really just for humans, but our purpose as it relates to our influence on the environment or animals or whatever it might be. I think if we really reflected and had a better sense of how we can help other things, other people, then I think, and if we acted on those things, then the world would be so much better.
Yeah, well, I mean, we would have heaven on earth. I believe we have like a sinful carnal nature, and that's what is predisposed to the hating, the cheating, all those things, right? That if those were eliminated, and we just, for me, obeyed God, love God, and love your neighbor as yourself, problem solved. We would have heaven on earth, and that's really the highest prayer and wish for us all. And so we shall see. We all have the choices to make, though. So free will, free will. Is there anything
Mhm.
else that you feel is important to share or add that you want people to know? Maybe there's something about you we don't know.
I would say I hope that people, when they meet me, I'm the same person they see on Instagram, on Facebook, on my website. Ultimately, as a business owner, as a plastic surgeon, I feel very much a purpose to help people. And I try to execute that purpose at the highest form.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do choose to have a procedure done, whether it be something cosmetic or reconstructive in the head and neck, I hope that I can help you one day.
I love that. And I've actually started a charitable Christian outreach ministry. It's called the God Foundation, and we support orphanages, and we're building schools and churches in third world countries. But I mentioned that to you, Carl, because yeah, perhaps there'll be a time in the future where we have children that have needs or things like that we will be delighted to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a foundation as well, the Truesdale Foundation, where I do pro bono plastic surgery. I've done a surgical mission trip in Ghana, which was life changing. I can't wait to go back, hopefully in the spring. And so,
yeah, there's so much need. Well, it's been such an honor to connect with you. Thank you for spending some time with me today. Again,
absolutely.
I commend you on your great work, and I wish you endless success. God bless you and your new growing family
Thank you
and
so much.
your flourishing practice.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.